Okay, we are back once again. Let me check if everything is working correctly, and then we can start off with today's live stream. We'll also do a quick post on X now that we are live once again. First people tuning in, I see. That's amazing. Okay, everything is working. This out. Just give me a moment. Give me a moment here. Mm-mm. Okay, just did a quick post on X also that we are going to start today's live stream again. Welcome back for everybody that has been watching yesterday's live stream and the days before, or the day before actually. Welcome back, amazing to have you guys back. Let me quickly check this. Okay. Super ready. I see some stuff coming in. Lol. I remember your name, nice to have you back. Do we have inflation data today? I thought it was the 25th. Yes, we have some inflation data today, but maybe not as you guys are used to. But I was just looking through all the data, and since of course we are just coming out of a US government shutdown, and the first data points are coming in. First of all, while we are live, we have more Fed officials speaking. And during the speech of Fed William, we actually saw the rate cut odds exploding up once again. And now they are over 17% to 25 BPS rate cut in December. So that's quite interesting. We still have some of those speeches from of different members going on. Bitcoin continues its move higher now, so I think in general it's an interesting timing to be live once again to discuss. We have some PMI data coming in, which is not going to be that important, but interesting to see. And then we have the Michigan 5-year inflation expectations, the final prediction. So I think that is going to be an interesting data point and giving us somewhat of a first insight into potential US inflation and how it can be looking like for over the next 5 years. And of course over the next few months also. Maybe it can be giving us some of an insight into also the PPI indeed on the November. Here on Tuesday we have some very important PPI data, and let me see if we also know we only have PPI 25th, so no CPI. Then on Wednesday we don't have we have the PCE price index, which is also an interesting one, core PCE. Jobless claims, initial jobless claims, continuing jobless claims. So Wednesday we also have some important data, and then that's it basically for the week. It seems like Wednesday, and then we don't have anything up until Saturday once again. So interesting, but I think this inflation data could be getting interesting. What do we think about Crypto.com working with Trump and Emirates and the coin of Crypto.com Kronos? I think it's very interesting how Crypto.com has been collaborating with Trump indeed. I'm not completely up to date on their partnership with Emirates. Let me quickly search that up. I'm not really up to date on that, to be honest. Emirates signs deal with... for the payments integration, indeed. Yeah, okay, I've seen this. I also posted this. Sometimes I forget. We've seen so much news over the last few months. But yeah, I'm very bullish on it, to be honest. I think it's great. Hi, how is it going? Good. What about you? Now, I think it's very great, and Kronos has been doing quite well. But like I've been explaining in some previous live streams and also update videos, I'm only going to look into altcoins once again. Once we have somewhat of an outlook when QE is going to get started. And I think at the 1st of December, I can quickly show the chart, because I know most of you guys are, of course, very interested in altcoins, which I do completely understand. But I will show you why I'm currently not really in the mood of accumulating a lot of altcoins. It's because I think altcoins need one catalyst, and that's going to be of course we have the QT ending. Let me quickly overlay this chart with the Federal Reserve balance sheet. Look, I really think that the Federal Reserve monetary policy is going to be the leading indicator from now on, also just for global market. I think it has been for quite a long time. And I think the crypto market, and definitely Bitcoin is now more of a macro asset. So, of course, it is going to get highly affected now by the monetary policy, because the bigger the market cap gets, the more liquidity is needed to make it get moving. Same can be said for the altcoins market cap. It might be relatively smaller than compared to Bitcoin, but if we price others into Bitcoin, we basically have seen that since 2000 and let me check 17, every single time, once you do see a phase of QT, so once the Fed balance sheet starts shrinking, you do see altcoins underperform. We've seen it here. Here we topped out even before QT started, probably on the announcement itself. And we can also draw it a little bit differently, like this. So what we see once we are in a phase of quantitative tightening, so once there's less liquidity available, we usually do see that altcoins also don't perform that well. We usually do see major drawdowns and bear market period for altcoins. Once QE gets started, like we saw at the QT ending point in 2019 actually, which is also not that good of a comparison, because now we don't know for sure yet if QT is going to end. It doesn't necessarily mean that QE is going to get started. Probably not. We are going to see some neutralization here, and then we might see QE getting started. But for QE getting started, the Fed must have a very good reason, or the labor market will stay very weak, keep deteriorating, or something else is going to happen. Burst of the AI bubble, for example. A lot of different scenarios there, but then you might see QE getting started. So it is indeed going to get a little bit different, but I think in the end it is going to happen once again, because history will repeat. In my opinion, it is going to happen again. There is going to be a reason at some moment to start QE once again, because at sometimes the system also runs out of liquidity. Once we get more liquidity in the market, I think that is going to be a potential period for altcoin outperformance, and that is why I do want to be waiting for more information from the Fed over the ending of QT itself and their expectations on when QE could be getting started. I think this is going to be the most important thing for altcoins over the next few years here. But that's my personal opinion. I think it's much more driven by this than by, for example, the 4-year cycles. Because now you have seen that during an entire 4-year cycle, altcoins don't have to move up against Bitcoin. It's not necessarily the case, and we've seen the proof of it, and it happened because of the Fed balance sheet moving lower, so quantitative tightening. That is my explanation of altcoins and what I currently think of them. I talked about crypto.com because the CEO was in the dinner that Trump had with Emirates Prince when they announced the investment some days ago. Yeah, I see. Any update how much more Bitcoin will fall? Yeah, let's dive into that. It's an interesting question. Bitcoin is now, by the way, down about now less a little bit, but I think at the peak of this dip to 80k, it was down about 42k in the last few weeks. So what we're looking at with Bitcoin is quite historically, of quite historically seen insane. If we are going to, I will show some charts now. If we just dive into the charts, I can show that what Bitcoin is doing now is definitely not very normal. Let me quickly arrange this with the VPN. Okay, back again. My mistake. My chart wasn't loading, so I was looking into my connectivity. Oh, I'm having some trouble here. So annoying. My mistake, guys. I should be back now. Yes, I'm back now. Okay, let's dive into the Bitcoin chart because I can show something quite insane here. Let's open the Bitcoin all-time high or the all-time history index. Let's remove everything off the chart. And what are we looking into now? Look, this Bitcoin move down has of course been absolutely insane. If you look at it at the logarithmic time frame, it is a crazy move down. A 43k move down. That is like 4x the entire move we saw in 2017, for example. Not really, but just to put it in perspective. If we then are going to take a look into how big is this drawdown actually from off the market top, you're looking into the 36% drawdown all the way to that 80k level. So that is indeed a bigger drawdown than what we have seen during the tariffs, and a bigger drawdown than what we have seen here in 2024 all the way back to this Gen carry trade crash. So it has been the biggest drawdown of the bull market already, which is of course insane. So in my opinion, one first signal that this could be somewhat of a bottoming stage in the market. Not only this, but also if you're going to overlay it with the RSI, just on the one daily, you can see that the trend from the RSI is clearly broken. We've lost the most important levels on the RSI. We've broken below all of these previous support levels here, here, and here. So this dip is indeed looking a little bit different. We are now at the RSI levels last seen in the bear market. In this stage of the market. And to put that in perspective, that is literally the bear market. So Bitcoin is coming down at a pace we've never really seen before. And it could be meaning a few things. I was thinking about this earlier. It can be meaning we are just front running a bear market and we are going to have a much shorter bear market than we could be expecting according to the 4-year cycle. And if that is going to be the case, we are probably looking into a similar scenario like what we saw in 2019 here. Because what we saw in 2019, we saw a big move up for Bitcoin. Let me take this one, big move up for Bitcoin. And we saw on cycle top without any euphoria. Then we started moving back down. But another similarity here with 2019 is that, let me move to, is that during 2019 we also did not see any altcoin season. Others versus Bitcoin pairs stayed moving down. And we topped without any euphoria. So looking at this cycle, which was indeed a far bigger cycle, it is looking the same, with others versus Bitcoin only moving down and Bitcoin moving up and topping without any euphoria. If you're then going to overlay the Fed balance sheet again, then it gets even more interesting, and then we are coming back to the talking point. To the talking point we were just talking about here with the Fed balance sheet. The moment that QE started was this exact moment here, we should say. No, let me check the green one. So yeah, indeed, That was the moment where QT stopped and also QE started, but we saw that Bitcoin did top out before QT ended. Also that is happening once again because QT is going to end at the 1st of December. So I am seeing a lot more similarities with 2019 than with the normal post-halving year and the normal 4-year cycle, I would say. And looking now at the Bitcoin RSI, how fast it is actually going, I think Bitcoin is going to find a cycle top just looking at the data now, or find a cycle low looking at the data now earlier than expected. Or, if that is not going to be the case, from up here, we have to see a major bounce back up. And I think that is indeed going to happen in the near future. I think Bitcoin is now so crazily oversold that we are at a bouncing point. And since that 80k level, we have been bouncing back up now, and we saw a few bullish things hitting the markets, I would say. Looking at Bitcoin, where do I have that 5-minute chart? Let's go to the 5-minute Bitcoin chart here. Looking at the bounce at 80k, I would say that it's potentially going to be an interesting bottoming level. I don't know why all of the charts are not working correctly. Here, Bitcoin. Let me clear it out, and then on the 5 minutes. Look at that. Of course, we can be falling back to those levels, but it seems like an interesting bouncing point for Bitcoin, I would say. The 80k level. We can be dropping lower again, but I think a bounce is coming close. Also looking at this relief rally here, I've shared this data in all of the latest update videos. After breaking the 50 weekly moving average, we do usually see a bounce back towards the 50 weekly moving average, or even higher. So at some moment this is probably going to happen. So let's see. But that's what I currently think of the market, and is it over, and how much lower is Bitcoin going to drop? Your typical 4-year cycle suggests that Bitcoin is going to see and bounce at the levels it's currently trading at. The RSI, a lot of other indicators are showing that. From there we can see him bounce back up, and from there we are probably going to continue the bear market. And I think a potential low for Bitcoin in this bear market could be 50, 60k. 50k seems a bit low, but on the other hand, during the bear market we usually do move a lot lower than what most people think, I must say. Bitcoin versus gold pair, even more oversold on a monthly than during the 2018 bear market and the 2015 and 14-15 bear market. So not only Bitcoin versus USD pair is crazily oversold, but also the Bitcoin versus gold pair. Yeah, bro, no more trading, you gotta wait now. Yes, indeed, I will be waiting a bit, because of course, I stopped my Bitcoin trades here, so I don't have much to discuss there. For Bitcoin, I'm just waiting on the sidelines now. I don't want to be risking a lot more capital, because of course there is a lot of weakness. You're still trying to catch a falling knife. If you're going to be longing now once again, I've done so, but for now I'm going to be okay here. Ethereum trading position still in a big loss. Got filled to my 2.8k limit order, and yeah, let's see if Ethereum can be bouncing back up. I think this entry is not looking that bad. So if Bitcoin could be seeing a bounce from here, Ethereum is going to follow probably, and then we can still be making a nice profit. For the people that don't know yet, you can also be claiming this bonus from Albank with a deposit bonus up to 2.5k and a generous refund up to 5k. So make sure to go and check it out if you are interested in that, because this is actually going to be a nice moment to claim a bonus like this. And yeah, open a trading position here, because now with the prices tanking, that is indeed the moment where you do want to be want to be trading placing a trade, instead of in the euphoria move higher or in a crazy move lower. I think there are a lot of opportunities now, so claim this offer. You can also make use of it a little bit later. You can find the offer here with the link in the description under this live stream to claim your 50% deposit bonus up to 2.5k, generous refund up to 5k on your first trading position only, and a $100 bonus. You mean Bitcoin will fall to 60k? This mean I will be liquidated in SUI? Yeah, I think Bitcoin could be falling to 60k during the bear market. And I'm not saying that because I just think so. I'm saying that because usually Bitcoin does move towards the 200 daily moving average. Why is it not showing on the chart? TradingView is not really working quite nice, I must say, this evening. Let me check how it is on other pairs. Open a new one. Does anyone know what is the insider wheel that goes short before the flash crash doing? No, currently we have not seen a lot of news about him coming out, as far as I know. Okay, there we go. Uh, 200. Look, let me guys show you something, because I see you talking about your trade. Look, this is what you're potentially looking at. During the bull markets, the Bitcoin bull markets, we did break the 50 weekly moving average. For now, it doesn't seem likely that Bitcoin is going to be reclaiming that in the near future because of the significance of the move to the downside. What is this? A massive move to the downside, of course. So for now, it does not seem likely we will be reclaiming the 50 weekly moving average. So after breaking that level, what does Bitcoin usually does when it tops in Q4 during the post-halving year? Usually, it comes back towards the 200 weekly moving average. So you're looking into a bigger move down. Sometimes we even wick below it, like we saw during COVID, like we saw here. And in 2022, we even dropped below it. Not only a wick, we just went trading below it for a longer time because of the FTX collapse and more things happening in that stage of the market. So, just in short, there is going to be a high chance that Bitcoin will drop towards the 200 and daily moving average, I personally think. And that is going to correspond. Oh, a little bit of a yawn. That's going to correspond with about the 60. And if you're lucky, it really depends on when it happens, but I think it will be happening faster than most people think. It's about to be in 60, 70k level. Maybe 50. It really depends on when it's going to happen, because if you're thinking mid 2026, for example, this moving average also just keeps on moving up. So then you're trading at higher levels, and your potential bottom is also going to lay a little bit lower. So yeah, there are a lot of possibilities there. But yeah, is it can I close my trade here? Yeah, everybody should know for yourself. I'm not going to tell you what to do or not. I'm just giving you my thoughts on the market here. If you bought the last bear, this is just noise. Spot is king as always. Trading is gambling. I agree. Up until a certain point, I don't think trading is gambling for most. It really depends on how you're trading and what exactly you're doing. But I think for most people, just spot buying is going to work better. Indeed. Indeed, that is definitely true. Um, what do you think about altcoins? Are they already dead or now? I did talk a lot about altcoins just a few minutes ago. Maybe you can. I will talk about it again in just a few minutes. Just wait. But yeah, you can also play back a little bit. I just talked about altcoins extensively. But I don't use stop loss because most of the times it comes back to break even, but this time it keeps on falling. Always put on a stop loss, brother. Hey friend, when is the news? We have some interesting data. I'm not going to say it's going to be groundbreaking data here, but we have some interesting inflation data in my personal opinion, which I do want to be live streaming for. And in the meantime, we also have some Fed officials speaking, some small PMI data coming up. But this Michigan 5-year inflation expectation final report is, I think, going to be an interesting one. And I'm very interested to see what the current inflation expectation is going to be. Because also that could be having somewhat of an effect on the rate cut decision. Let's refresh the rate cut odds here for December, because those have been moving up, of course. My entry is 2.24. Oh, rate cut odds just keeps on moving higher now. That is quite insane. Let me quickly check the news to see why. Nvidia founder Jensen Huang says the world would have fallen apart if Nvidia missed earnings. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, also from December rate cut jumped to 75%. That is indeed looking very good. New York Fed John Williams says rate cuts are now only modestly restrictive and there is room for another near-term rate cut to move policy close to the neutral rate, with labor market risk again rising and inflation risks easing. Yes, that's something we did know already here. Fed Logan says interest rates should remain on hold. So, yeah, we're looking into a very conflicting group of Fed officials. They all want something different, and they're all looking into a different rate cut decision. So I think it's still going to be a being very close call. I think these odds could be moving closer towards each other once again, and you can see how fast the sentiment and expectation can flip on an FOMC meeting and on the perspective. So we definitely have a lot of volatility ahead of us up until the 10th of December meeting. Well, rate cuts moving higher. It's, yeah, I was just showing it. It's moving higher because of the Fed official Williams, which is also the head of the New York Fed. He just said that there's room for another rate cut, and I guess this was like a very important official to put the Fed over the line, to now have the majority betting once again on a rate cut for December, 25 BPS one. So interesting, but like I said, this could change so and so quickly once again, with, for example, some inflation data coming out in half an hour here. So in half an hour it's coming out. In 50 minutes we have some PMI data coming out, which could be affecting the US stock market maybe, and also crypto. Please tell Powell to cut the rates. I will try to tell him. I did make a big mistake. My entries, yeah, we will all make mistakes. I think when I'm in such a big loss, I would just cut it and take my loss, to be honest. But that's me. I don't know. You should know for yourself. I'm not a financial advisor in any way. I'm just giving my market thoughts and my opinions because I love the markets. Always use a stop loss. Always use a stop loss. And maybe if you're going to take a loss, you could try to claim this bonus, and then you will have some funds again to make another trade with a stop loss. Let's also dive over to the private VIP Telegram group here. Maybe we have some interesting stuff going on in the general chat. People here are always hunting for some opportunities. I took a 50k loan to lower Bitcoin liquidation to 30k. Okay. I think that's not going to be the best strat here. Also in this VIP group I'm more frequently updating on all of the things I'm seeing in the market. Just my researches in general, what I'm seeing for Bitcoin here, what I'm seeing for ETH, and a lot of other stuff. Updates on my trading positions. So make sure to also come out to the VIP group if you do want more updates and updates in real time, because that's what it is. I can be updating like directly on X and on YouTube, but I can be doing so in the Telegram group. So still a chance this is just going to be in temporary correction. There is still a chance, but yeah, is there still a chance? I don't know, because we should not fade historical data. We should not fade all of the historical data. The only chance, if that is really going to happen, we should be moving up much more aggressively in the near future, because yeah, for now it doesn't really seem like this is the case. Do we really think this is going to be a fake out? It's possible. The Nasdaq did it, S&P 500. We did it in the past with the stock market, but for now it really looks like Bitcoin did enter a bear market once again. No blow top, no euphoria means a short bear market. Yeah, that is something I could potentially agree with. I think the bear market could be shorter if this is indeed a bear market and we are going to stay dropping lower and lower from here. Then I think it's a much more it's much more looking like 2019 instead of your typical post-halving year, and we could be having a shorter bear market. But the Fed monetary policy is going to be the most important thing I will be looking at. If QE is going to get started, why is it going to get started? Just what is the plan of the Fed with the balance sheet? What is the game plan going to be in 2026? We are also we are probably going to get a very dovish head of the Federal Reserve, because Trump is going to replace Powell. Is it going to be Waller? Is it going to be Scott Bessent? Who is going to be the next Fed? Maybe he will just announce QE without any good reason. Maybe he will lower the rate with another basis point. You just don't know what's going to happen there. But I could see the case that indeed in mid-2026 we are going to have a new Fed president, and maybe that could be igniting and Bitcoin rally back up, but QE could do the same. Yes, I just said so that next year is going to be next Fed chair. So yeah, there are so many potential catalysts and so many potential risks still. But yeah, looking at the speed of Bitcoin dropping, and also on the RSI, just on the momentum indicators, it really looks like Bitcoin is trying to put in a major low, because it's programmed that we are going to start moving higher quicker once again. If we are going to stay moving like this, we are not going to see a full year bear market, I personally think. Do you drive a bike? No, I don't. I don't drive a bike. Why the question? Why that question? No, do you drive a bike, by the way? I think you're talking about a motorcycle then, right? In that case, or are you just talking about a normal bike? But yeah, just looking at the speed and the significance of the moves we are seeing, yeah, it doesn't seem like it's going to be a very long bear market, I would say. Not the 15 top indicators flash that they're useless. Yes, I would say that a lot of those top indicators are indeed useless. But yeah, we did not top in euphoria just in 2019, so the on-chain indicators are then not going to signal anything once there is no euphoria. It's logical. No, just a bike simple in the Netherlands. I'm indeed from the Netherlands myself. I don't live in the Netherlands anymore, but I am from the Netherlands. I did bike a lot when I was younger, but now I don't bike anymore. Netherlands or Dutch people are indeed biking people, so they do bike a lot, but I don't live there anymore. Mm-mm-mm. Take a quick sip of water. Just make sure if you have any questions to drop them in the chat now, because this is going to be the moment, somewhat more of a chill stream, where some data will be coming in 10 minutes, and then in 20 minutes from now. Sailor response to the MSCI situation on MicroStrategy is not a fund, not a trust, not a holding company. We are a publicly traded operating company with a 500 million US dollar software business. interesting. Let me quickly check this on the timeline, because we did not post this yet. Give me a moment. Boom, boom. Just doing a quick post here. Give me a moment. You think about a longer cycle, because in the last cycle, Bitcoin cycle is business cycle. This time it's not been the case. Look, this could be the case, but it does not really. It does not really mean that we are not going to see another bear market, because if you are going to overlay the business cycle, it is just going to be another reason why this cycle is looking much more like, for example, 2019 than the other cycles. But here we have the business cycle. Let me see if this is the, yeah, this one is somewhat good. Move it higher. Indeed, you do see the correlation with the business cycles, but for example in 2019, where we also did not top in any euphoria, which was here, the business cycle was not at somewhat of a peaking point. Actually, the business cycle was in somewhat of a downtrend this entire move up still here, and we have seen the same thing for this bull market. And I think the business cycle not peaking here is also one of the big reasons we did not see any euphoria at the potential cycle top. But like you can see in 2019, we also broke below the 50 weekly moving average, and we broke slightly below it. Then we bounced back up, but we also entered somewhat of a bear market phase, somewhat of a weaker phase in the market. And if that scenario is going to repeat, then once QE gets started, which you can also overlay once again, look, the Fed balance sheet is the most important thing we will be looking into. Fed, look, then you can of course see the start of QE also igniting a major boom of the USA business cycle. So are you looking into a business cycle or just liquidity? The increasement of liquidity. Now we saw a major business cycle getting started. We saw topping out also with the start of QT once again. So if QT ends on the 1st December and if QE might be getting started, we can maybe see the start of another big business cycle, and then we could see another cycle top. But I think for Bitcoin we could still see somewhat of a seasonal period of weakness for a few months before that is eventually going to happen, because that's also what we saw in 2019 here. Because there is currently also no reason for the business cycle to just move higher. It looks like Bitcoin is starting to bounce. Okay, let me open the chart. 15 minutes. So I hope that is somewhat of a clear explanation of the business cycle and what my thoughts of it are. Oh. Okay, let me quickly send this. Bitcoin to 15 minutes. I rather look into the 5 minutes chart, to be honest. So we are indeed continuing to bounce higher. Let me put on the latest price. 84. Whoa. We just broke above 85k actually. Crazy. Strong bounce back up. Let me quickly. It's very good to see. I need to do some quick posts on X. Okay. Just broke above 85k and then and at this moment we also have some PMI flash data coming out. Let me see. Manufacturing PMI at 51.9 instead of 52. Services PMI at 55 instead of 54.6. Composite PMI at 54.8, estimated 45.5. Okay. Does not certainly look very bullish or very bearish, I must say. Manufacturing PMI coming in a little bit lower than expected. Sources PMI a little bit higher. Composite PMI also a little bit higher. But does not seem like really crazy or something. Let me see how Bitcoin is actually dumping a little bit on the news. Maybe. Or just rejection. V-shaped recovery 80 from to 85k. Yeah, it's quite insane, a 5k bounce back up. We should recover relatively fast because the Fed stopping QT in December and the TGA money starting flowing back into the market. I think the TGA money flowing back into the market is a little bit of a scam because I think it's about much less money than people want you to believe. I think it's somewhat of a fake narrative. I think the TGA money is not that important. QT stopping is potentially a bullish catalyst, but also mostly priced in. Ready for a nice bear market, took some good profits, ready to buy back next year. Amazing. Yes. We can be very sad about the potential bear market, but we can also be seeing it as an opportunity to just accumulate more Bitcoin. PMI report. There it is, business cycle. Not that much of a change, so not a really big uptick for the business cycle. Composite PMIs was indeed trading a bit higher, but not a very big uptick for the business cycle. Just what we were talking about with the chart earlier for the US business cycle. So we do need somewhat of a catalyst for the US business cycle to truly get started, it seems like. Okay, that was the first data. The PMI data is not affecting the market by that much. US business cycle stays flat basically. But in 12 minutes from now on, we also have some inflation data dropping. So I'm curious to see how that is going to be affecting the markets. I'm very curious to see. Nvidia shares reversed their course, lost down 1.5%. I think that means that Nvidia is also moving up. Let me check that. What was the start of today? 21. Of course, we can't really see it yet. And Nvidia view. Okay. Okay, let's check on the Ethereum trading position here. So minus 2k, but bouncing up ever so slightly. Unfortunately, I did not put my limit order at 2.7k. They put it at 2.8k. So we are now back at my last entry on ETH because I got filled on the 2.8k level. So let's see if we can be continuing to move higher. If you do want to do the same, make sure to claim this bonus on L-Bank, 50% deposit bonus up to 2.5k. And the generous refund up to 5k. Make sure to check it out if you're getting interested in that. You can find the link in the description under this live stream. And now in 10 minutes we have the inflation data coming out. So let's refresh this page. And then we have a 5-year inflation expectation coming out. So, and some consumer expectations, by the way, which could also be important. Here we have the PMI data. We've now seen all of the Fed speeches from of today. So it should be getting a little bit more calm now, I would say. So let's see, 9 minutes left. Bitcoin here. Very strong, very strong. This is the strongest I've seen Bitcoin in quite a long time. Once again pushing higher now. I think pushing up to the 85k level again. $84.8. So yeah, just waiting for the data now. Really good to look to this. Yeah, it has been quite some time. We've been able to look into a chart which is moving up a little bit. Ooh, almost an 85k reclaim. $85k reclaim now. Boom. Can we continue to move higher is the big question. Finally finding some positive momentum again, Bitcoin. 85.2k now. Ooh, now it's going fast. Now it's going fast. Can we hold above the 85k level? It's not all lost at this point. Let's see. Can we hold above 85k? Some data in 5 minutes also, which could be pushing the price up even higher. Yes, Bitcoin continues to move higher. Just imagine this world not in the bear market, but just another correction. Let's see, 85.4. 85.4. .4 still. Probably numbers are good. Let's see. Pump is looking strong. The pump is looking strong. Let's hope. Yes, indeed. Every small pump, I see this wishful thinking. We should be able to remain celebrating a small pump. We should be able to remain celebrating. Doesn't matter if you believe you're on the bear market, bull market, just another correction. Does not really matter. We should celebrate the pump. In 4 minutes we have the inflation data coming out, so I am quite excited. Let's see about that. I will switch over to my X notifications in a few minutes. Strong manufacturing week in November. Coming back down now, 85. Ooh, are we going to drop below 85 again? I appreciate your channel. Thank you so much, brother. I appreciate you guys for watching, because we have been growing very fast. When I started this channel, I think over a year ago I started the channel, but since then I would never have imagined that now we would have over 7k subs and growing so quickly. So yeah, it's all thanks to you guys, to be honest. Bitcoin holding above 85k. Thoughts on altcoins in December. In December it could get interesting once again, since we have QT ending and the meeting. But I can be saying more stuff about altcoins after the ending of QT and also the next meeting, next FOMC. These are the worst weeks since a long time. All my DCAs down the drain and not even doing leverage. But you should just keep DCAing in, right? And just focus on Bitcoin, I would say. Focus on Bitcoin and maybe a little bit of ETH. Yeah, man, I appreciate the calm breakdowns, the big up, bro. Thank you so much, brother. Hello, dude. Hello, James. Nice to see you once again. What's your thoughts? Yeah, my thoughts on Bitcoin. I discussed it a lot also in the update videos. I think the bigger trend seems to be down. It seems to be, to me, that we're trading a bear market, potentially one that is going to end much sooner than most people think. I would say, looking at the current data, but I don't want to say too much before the next FOMC and also the QT/QE decision. But for now, bigger trend seems down. I would say a relief rally is going to be likely in the near future, And looking at the current Bitcoin price action, this could potentially be the start, but now we drop back down 85k once again, which is unfortunate. If you look at the 6-month liquidation heat map, basically all of liquidity is on the upside, 140k, here we come. Yeah, but of course, if there's going to be a bear market, there is also going to be the moment where the bears are going to be right, because yeah, the cycle top always does get shorted, and then there is always going to be a lot of liquidity at those zones. So there's going to be the moment where there is a lot of liquidity at the upside, but where Bitcoin will just keep moving down because it enters in bear market. Just saying. I think indeed there is a lot of liquidity still to be grabbed, but I don't know if it will be all the way up to 140k. Sentiment will change fast, it happens every single time, pure manipulation. Okay, 1 minute before the data is going to come out. So let's see what this is going to be looking like in a minute. Ukraine Zelensky says Ukraine is facing a choice of losing a major part of Ukraine's dignity. Interesting. Okay. Let's see. Looking out for all this important data. And there it is already. Inflation expectation. Oh, looking very bullish. Lower inflation expectation than expected. Consumer expectations higher. Good. Looks good to me. Let's see what we can see on X about it. Yeah, actual 1 year inflation, actual 4.5. So the expectation comes in lower than expected. Bullish. I'm going to post this quickly on X also. What is Bitcoin doing on the news? Dropping. Amazing. Use a Okay, that was it. That was the inflation expectation. Bitcoin moving up ever so slightly. I just did a quick post on one of the X accounts here on Crypto Rover. I will quickly show it. Oh, Crypto Rover. We have the 1 year inflation expectation, actual 4.5%, forecast 4.7. So lower than expected, cooler inflation expected, and that is going to be somewhat of a bullish signal for markets. Oh wait, I don't know. So yeah, looking at the data, it's not looking bad, I would say. Cool. Okay, guys, that was the Bitcoin bouncing here once again. Bitcoin seems to be in an uptrend still, so let's see how this will be continuing overnight. I'm quite excited to see it. It is getting a little bit late here. I still need to do a lot of stuff this evening, so I will be wrapping up the stream for today. Thank you all for watching. A lot of activity in the chat today. I love that. Make sure to come over to LBank, claim your deposit bonus, claim your generous refund, up to 7.5k in bonuses here, plus another $100 voucher. Offer is still going to be available for another 2 to 3 days, I think. So make sure to come and check it out if you're getting interested in that. For now, I want to thank everybody. Thank you all for watching, and then I will see you guys within my next update video or the next live stream a little bit later. Guys, have a good evening, good afternoon, good morning, depends on which part you are in the world now. And yes, I'll see you guys later. Have a good one.